Hi, welcome to the Thinking Thumbprint 5-Day Challenge. Up until the age of 7, our brain functions in a wavelength known as theta. This allows for rapid learning through observation repetition. There is a huge amount of information going into a youngster's mind that is not necessarily conscious lessons that are being taught. They are learning through observation. They learn through the repetition. As children, some of our behavior is rewarded and some isn't. Our theta brainwaves allows our mind to pick up the behaviors that were rewarded and allows us to duplicate them for the rewards, obviously. But the duplication of that behavior then becomes habit. So we start to form habits that get solidified through more repetition. But as we grow into adulthood, our lives, our businesses, our families, our responsibilities, our careers demand new thinking from us, demand new roles. Yet here we are in business, here we are in families, here we are with careers, here we are as adults, still functioning along the same habitual thinking patterns that were set in our mind up until the age of 7. It's time for new thinking. It's time to take control of those thinking habits and to learn how to use them to our advantage. But first, let's find out exactly what are thinking habits. In order to explain thinking habits, I want to give you two analogies. The first analogy is about this toy. Do you remember it? You take a shape piece and you find a hole in the toy that corresponds, that matches to the shape of the piece, and you slot it into it. I found as a kid that some of the shapes, you could put it in the wrong hole. With a little bit of pressure, with a little bit of distortion, it would pop into the hole. Sometimes if you take a small piece and you put it to a bigger hole, even though it's not the right shape, it can still slide in because of its size. In this analogy, the piece represents information. The toy represents your brain, and the holes represent the habitual thinking, your habits or your assumptions that we make in life. And what happens to us is, as the information is coming in, we evaluate it against the criteria of our assumptions or the criteria of our habit, and if it agrees, we let it in. If it doesn't agree, we reject it. Sometimes that information can be distorted and forced in, or sometimes it's generally accepted because of its size or relevance. We can summarize this analogy by saying that our thinking habits are criteria that measures all information that comes in, and it deletes information that doesn't agree with the criteria. Sometimes it will distort it, and sometimes it will generalize the information in order to make it fit. But all information is either deleted, distorted, or generalized. The second analogy deals with polarizing lenses. So sometimes you get sunglasses that have got polarized lenses. And a polarized lens is a lens that's got a filter in it that just allows in vertical light. Light that is diffracted in other directions is erased. Now, one way to test whether your glasses have polarized lenses or not is to take a known polarized lens. So you know this one is polarized, and you take the sunglasses that you've just bought and you put it over the top and you look through the two lenses and you slowly turn your sunglasses. Now, where the glasses overlap, if it becomes totally black, in other words, you can't see through it, then you know both lenses are polarized. That means your sunglasses are polarized. In this analogy, the light that is traveling is the information. The known polarized lens is you, your filters, your assumptions, your criteria for evaluating information. The other pair of glasses is somebody else that you're talking to. What happens is when you communicate with somebody that shares habits, shares a filter system that is similar to yours, then the light is able to pass through. But if you meet someone whose habit, whose thinking habit, whose criteria, whose assumption is different to your own, then all the information is deleted. There is a breakdown in communication, and inevitably there is a breakdown in the connection. We can summarize this analogy by saying that our thinking habits act like a polarizing filter. only allowing in information that agrees with its own criteria. It will delete, distort, and generalize information that does not meet its criteria. We can say that our thinking habits shape our perspective of the world in which we live. Our habits conform the information going out as well as the information coming into our brains in order to meet the criteria, in order to make sure the information we receive is in agreement. It rings true to us, in essence rings true to our habit. This shapes our world to agree with our perspective of the world. So now what happens is our thinking habits actually predetermines the outcome of an event even before we go there. It takes the event, the future event, possible event, and compares it to past experience, looking for habits to compare it with, looking for criteria to compare it with. And when it finds criteria, it says, well, that was the outcome in the past, this is going to be the outcome now. So the outcome, the result of our event, of our circumstances, situation, our engagement is already determined even before we actually go into it. And it is determined by our thinking habits. For example, if you have a fear of heights, walking along a cliff edge with a beautiful view is going to be absolutely lost to you. In fact, you're not going to do it. If you get invited on such a walk, your brain is going to analyze the outcome and say, and it's going to influence your decision to refuse to go. And even if you do go, it's going to govern your experience, terrifying you in the process, even though there's no real danger. It's predetermined that you are afraid of heights, therefore walking next to the cliff is going to be scary. This is a dangerous example. If you believe that all women drivers are bad drivers, it doesn't matter in whose vehicle you sit. With a female, you're going to find fault with her driving. You are going to criticize her driving because you are predisposed. You have this presupposition to believe that all women drivers are bad. So whatever the experience is in your mind is going to come out badly. In psychology, our thinking habits are actually called presuppositions. It is an implicit assumption about the world or background belief relating to an utterance whose truth is taken for granted in discourse. And these presuppositions are grouped into three categories. The first one is around communication, the second one is around behavior, and the third one is around identity. Our belief systems control how we communicate, how we act, and what we believe about ourselves. The Thinking Thumbprint 5-Day Challenge deals with one of the communication habits and enables you to become a master of this habit. I know you're going to enjoy this. I know you're going to have fun experimenting, and I know it's going to show you something about you didn't know. Enjoy the process. Have fun. See you soon.